So 33% actually chose the class, and that's telling within itself because, everybody should want to be there. But when you have students say, I thought it was going to be easy A, or I don't know why I signed up, you may be interested in something, but it's all about the mindset going in. So if a student's mindset isn't going in the correct mind frame before entering a class like this, students can have difficulty. And we're about to see this in the item analysis of principles of engineering. So I took one assessment from Unit 1 and I categorized the difficulty of the questions. I tiered them up from Tier 1 to Tier 3 and I grouped them based off of their SGO predictor. Nobody in the class for participation got Tier 2. So there was only Tier 1 and Tier 3. But I'm glad it happened like that because it's going to be a distinct difference for both of them. So I set averages for their tiers, both their math score as a predictor and their raw scores. And from there, I labeled green questions 2, 5, 6, 9, 10, 19, 20, and 11, 21. Moderate was labeled yellow, questions 1, 4, 7, 15, 16, and 17. And hard was labeled red, questions 3, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 18. So from this item data, the math according to the math, 260 is the highest you can, 270 is the highest you can get. So you have distinct math scores in the two tiers. So the kids that were really into it have a math score of 250, whereas tier one has a math score of 239. When it came to the easy questions on the test, they on average they got 3 out of 4 right. They were 75%, which is adequate because they should be recalling information by this point. But when you go over to the moderate part, the intensity changes, and then you start to see the capability of the student. So the moderate questions right was at 1 out of 6 for tier one, which is dismal, and then 4 out of 6 for tier three. This number for tier three should be 5 or 6 because they should be already comprehending and then applying that knowledge. And then you go into the highly intense, and an alarming 5% of tier one students only got that. And that's when you're applying and putting things together and, applying what you know. So only 1 out of 20, which is, I don't know if you would call it even that, that's just dismal. And then barely going under the 50% mark for tier three. That means they're getting it, but not to the area that we want. This number should also have been 5 and 6. So the results and the takeaways of this is that both got an average of 75% right. And then I told you the moderate questions. I told you everything. And you had their raw scores. So tier one had an average of 44%, which is failing, and tier three had a average of 59%. And this is critical because you want tier three should be up in the between, I would say, 77 and 95. And that's just the range, but and that's just on average. However, you want that to be higher. So how is tier one playing in a part in tier three? If these students, once again, if students or every 2 seconds, this is away from classroom management, playing on their phones, having their head down, you're constantly redirecting them. These students can't get the research and can't get the extra help needed to clear up common misconceptions. So my determination in all this and my findings were that students are still at Linden High School are under the same impression of the previous in, instructions. So whatever instructions, not calling anybody out per se, but they still have the ideals of 20th century technology education, more towards the 1980s and the 1990s, where it was just build and let's play with robots and let's innovate more. It's not as empirical as it is. And from that, they come into the classroom with a different set of expectations than my own. Students are being put in these classes without the proper prerequisites. Again, not looking at math scores, not looking at different predictors. I could do the best as I can to get them involved, but I don't want to lower the bar that it compromises the integrity of the class. And that's a grave concern that I have.